Alert and Oriented RN, a podcast for nurses by nurses, where we talk about everything nursing and life. You're going to need some restraints and a bedpan because you don't want to miss this. Let's get Alert and Oriented. What's up, A&Os, and welcome to another episode of Alert and Oriented RN, the podcast for nurses by nurses, where we talk about everything nursing and life. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Luke, and I'm joined by my colleague and best friend, Tori. Tori, say hi to our people.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode. I missed you. Luke missed you. And I miss Luke. I haven't seen Luke in like 3 weeks, maybe 4.
Yeah.
So
We're back.
We're back.
We did not go away.
We're not physically like in the same room right now, as you can tell, obviously, but we wanted to give you guys another episode. We feel bad that we have missed out these past couple of weeks. We are a week behind. We apologize about that, but life is happening. And I know that life is busy for you guys too. So we are making time just like you guys make time for us. And we appreciate that. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's to say it's been a crazy last month would be an understatement, I think, for both of us. It's well, actually, it's why we're calling this episode "Staying Afloat" because that is essentially barely what we are doing is staying afloat in our current lives. So no, it's always good to get back together. Yeah, first episode where we've had to do it apart, so makes me so sad that I'm not actually sitting next to you. But I'm just glad that we're able to make some time and put something together, and hopefully people continue to enjoy it. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And also, I just want to give a little shout out to Luke. Happy belated birthday. It is one of our A&O's birthday. I know that your wife threw you a little surprise party. I apologize, I wasn't there.
That's okay. Yeah, I was surprised that she was able to pull it off. I had no idea. I mean, honestly, I haven't really been focusing on very much. I kind of forgot that my birthday was even coming around the corner, which I guess is nice because when you turn the big 3-0, maybe
the big 3-0, baby.
Prefer not to remember that it's. Anyway, yeah, no, it was great. I wish you could have been there. Wish a couple. But again, like I said, life is crazy for a lot of people right now. I'm just happy to see another year, live another year, and I guess we'll see what my 30s have for me.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I do know one thing is as long as I continue to stay afloat, my 30th year on this world will bring graduation from grad school. So that's a positive, I guess.
That's a huge positive. That's amazing that you've been able to work full time and then balance school. I still don't know how you do it. I know that you admitted last episode, you're like, I'm tired. I've never heard you say that before in my entire life. So
yeah, it still holds true. I mean, that's I guess that's the primary reason why we missed an episode because I just physically, emotionally, and time wise I just couldn't do it, and it that's never really happened to me when it comes to a lot of things, and it kind of in a way it kind of upset me because like I said I enjoy doing this. It's kind of a break and a respite from everything, but I just didn't have the time. And sometimes it's okay to admit that, you have to, unfortunately, in our line of work and everything too, right? We miss out on a lot of things that we don't want to miss out on, but it's okay to admit too, that sometimes you just need time. You just need time away from those things. But yeah, so, well, as always, starting our episode with a feel-good moment, which, as we have mentioned in the last couple episodes, I guess, have been harder and harder to come up with. But I feel like might know a feel-good moment that you just recently experienced or so. But Tori, tell me what your feel-good moment for currently.
Okay, so my feel-good moment, I went on like my first vacation in a long time. I mean, like real vacation since COVID.
Yeah.
So I went with a group of friends to Walt Disney World for a couple days in Florida, and then we went to Electric Daisy Carnival in Orlando like the next 2 days.
Yeah,
And
that
it
looked
was
awesome.
the greatest experience I think I've ever had. It was so liberating. Felt really, really nice to get away from work and to take time for myself. And it was just a girls' trip, which I thought was just really fun. It's fun to just get away with your girls and just kind of go and dance and see new things, eat new food, just experience something together that's just so out of this world. And I definitely recommend everyone should do like Disney World or EDC, or just take time away and do something for yourself and take time away from work. And that way, when you come back, you're completely recharged, refreshed, and you're ready to go. So I don't work till the weekend. I took quite a bit of time off. So I feel pretty good that I came back. I was able to rest. And then I feel pretty recharged and ready to go this weekend. So that was my
Yeah,
feel good moment.
that's awesome. It looked like you had a blast. I mean, I was slightly jealous of some of the videos and pictures you were posting or sending to me because it just looked like one of those situations where you can, like you said, you just kind of just turn everything else off and just enjoy the moment. And plus, I mean,
Mhm.
it, how can you not be happy in the happiest place on earth? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
It was
no,
the
that's
new
awesome.
fireworks show that Disney had just, it was their
Oh,
50th anniversary. So it was a brand new fireworks show that they did. And it was
dang.
just absolutely incredible. I mean, just
Was it
breathtaking.
already was it already like decorated for the Christmas season?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
of
the
course. Yeah,
Christmas stuff was already out. So when it becomes November 1st, like from October 31st to November 1st, they transform the entire, like all four parks. And they have it
within
on Disney
24 hours.
Plus. Yeah, in 24 hours. Actually, just
Jesus
overnight.
Christ.
So if you
Oh,
guys want
yeah,
to check
12.
that out on Disney
Damn.
Plus, it's on there on how they do it. It's pretty sick.
That's
But
incredible. That
that show, I do recommend going to Magic Kingdom and seeing that show because it made me tear up a little bit. It's
mhm.
just the show is called Enchanted, and it's just about, you hold the power to your own happiness, and you can do whatever you want if you believe in yourself.
Yeah,
So
and
I loved
regardless
it.
of age, it's always, I mean, that's always something we should always focus on too. But I mean, of course, us being pediatric nurses, we live and thrive on being completely up to date when in the world of Disney. Because
Hmm.
yeah, if you don't have your stuff straight, the our patients will let us know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I think a couple weeks ago, I slipped up and like I think I called like I got Sleeping Beauty and like Snow White or something mixed up as far as their names. I don't remember exactly
Oh
which two princesses. It was two that were
no.
close. It was understandable or something like that, right? It wasn't like Ariel and Cinderella where like that just
All
be
right,
ridiculous.
I'll give you
And
that.
I got a stern like 10-minute lecture essentially by my little girl, by the little
Oh
patient. Like, yeah, it was. I
no.
mean, yeah, in her eyes, I messed up big time, and
She
I
was
mean, I
like, "You're
did.
gonna learn
So
today,"
yeah, but to be
essentially.
honest with you, I mean, she doesn't know any of the songs in Little Mermaid, so I could have done the same thing. So
But you're not because she's, significantly younger than you. So
yeah, I mean, she didn't grow up on Little Mermaid, but yeah, no, absolutely. That's well, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time. That is a
thank
good
you.
feel
It
good
was
moment,
it was
especially to
amazing.
come
It
back
was
feeling recharged.
definite feel good moment. I feel recharged, ready to go back to work. And I did not feel guilty for a second for taking some time to myself and to
No,
be with my
shouldn't.
girlfriends. And you guys
Absolutely.
never should either while you're on vacation. But
No.
Luke, I want to turn it over to you. Why don't you go ahead and let me know what your feel good moment is?
You know, so I actually have a kind of a similar thing. I guess you could say it kind of recharged me in a sense. So my feel good moment is, so I actually, part of the reason why we had to take some time away is because I actually had to go up to Colorado for a week long clinical for school. So I had the opportunity to do a clinical rotation up there, and so not quite a vacation. I mean, I got to see my aunt and hang out with her, but I mean, I was at the hospital, 4 straight days for 10-hour days. But it kind of recharged me in a sense because I got to experience an area of our profession, or I guess an area of it. Well, yeah, it's of our profession, but to see it from an advanced provider standpoint, a service that we don't have down here in our area of the United States. A lot of areas don't have it, but that was hugely instrumental in a lot of the care in multiple specialties and taking care of these pediatric patients. And so it was just it was amazing to see the efforts of a specialized team and what they bring to the table, and and just seeing the outcomes of these patients and stuff and their recovery when it comes to certain things. And it was also sad at the same in the same sense because we don't have that down here, and also not even just that, like it's something we don't do well from a healthcare standpoint in our area. um and it was kind of, so it was sad to know that how far off we are from having really good care when it comes to this. And I guess I haven't mentioned, but it was a acute pain service, so it was an acute pain management team.
Mhm.
As part of the Department of Anesthesiology that that I was with. And so it was interesting because I mean, these people are experts when it comes to the modalities of pain and all the different pain pathways, and a multimodal approach when it comes to prescription treatment and non-pharmacological interventions. And it was incredible, the knowledge that they had, and the way that they integrated it into different diagnoses, or patient populations, whether it was age, ethnicity, religious beliefs, all these kind of things that kind of come into it when it comes to pain management. It was crazy because I mean, these patients were so drastically more comfortable, I guess you could say, with a lot less crazier interventions than what I
Hmm.
am used to, I guess, from a provider standpoint down here. But refreshing in the sense to know that it's there. Refreshing to know that now I came back with a greater knowledge and a small training base that I can incorporate into my future practice and current practice, as it stands as a bedside nurse, that I
Yeah.
think would drastically my patients, and then maybe even patients in other subspecialties moving forward once I graduate. So not the vacation that you had, which but at the same time came back feeling a little bit refreshed, gave me enough juice to kind of what I'm doing is worth it, and that I do have the opportunity to make a difference once I finish through this last month of this semester. So yeah, no, pretty good. I enjoyed it. Had a really good.
That's amazing. No, yeah, when you were texting me, you seemed so excited about what you were learning and the different
Mhm.
interventions that these different providers incorporate into their plan of care, especially for like acute pain management, which is, I mean, it's such a, I mean, it's a vital sign, So it's just such a huge part of the plan of care. And I feel like a lot of times it gets overlooked, and to see how it's managed differently in a different state with a different team, and they manage it well, it's like, oh, I think that's really cool that you can bring that back with you. And I think it's really cool that you get to go to clinicals in other cities and states, and you get to bring that knowledge back with you. And that's why I feel like most people want to do travel nursing, is they want to see medicine in different areas, in different states, and they want to bring that back with them. So I think that's pretty neat. I'm super happy for you that you get to travel to other areas, see medicine done in other areas, and then bring that
Mhm.
back with you. And that's a definite feel good moment for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, but one of my mentors back in nursing school always used to tell me that if you ever thought about advancing your practice, whether it's not necessarily nurse practitioner like a DNP or anything, if you're just getting into administration, that one of the best things you can do, if it's possible for you, is to get your nursing degrees as you advance up from different schools and different what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like not facilities, but I'm talking about schools and their systems and stuff like that. Because what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to learn different approaches, different philosophies, different strengths, weaknesses, and just experience something different than what you currently work in, or what you've only been exposed to. And so far, in over 2 years of going to school, where I go, and experiencing different things, and meeting people who work in a different system, and seeing their approaches and the philosophies that were ported into them. Because that's the other thing that's great about grad school is um, everybody in your class not necessarily the same undergrad nursing school. They might live in the same area right now, and that's where they go to school or something, but they come from potentially all over the country, all over the world. And so now you have this melting pot of different philosophies that were instilled in them, different practices and things like that. And you just kind of, you pick what you like and you leave what you don't like. And it's been great because if there's nothing wrong with getting your education and your nursing experience through one particular school or school system
Hmm.
and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But I truly, at this point, am a strong advocate for people who are thinking of advancing their career, whether it's in the management, informatics, advanced practitioner, whatever it is, exploring different systems so that you get those different philosophies, you get those different approaches, because it's only going to make you stronger in whatever aspect of it, advancement that you want. And so
Hmm.
yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, and I guess in a sense, me and you kind of lucked out too, considering that we both had undergraduate degrees before we got into nursing, which didn't necessarily play into our I guess our nursing profession in a sense, but at the same time, like we were exposed to a culture at one school,
Hmm.
and philosophies on teaching and educating and learning and everything like that, and just overall interaction with the rest of the student body that you carried over into where we learned our nursing education. And it just all it does is just continues to build on yourself, right? And like I said, you take what you like and you leave what you don't like, and then all of a sudden you come out at the end whenever you decide you are done with actually physical school, because right in our profession you never start learning. But
Oh
uh,
no, for sure. So
and so
since
it just,
you
yeah, it's cool.
since you a lot of people, will get their BSN and then they just go straight into advanced practice.
Hmm.
Would you recommend that, or would you recommend, well, no, you should probably work as a bedside nurse first to get exposure to, the profession and like the role versus
No, yeah,
just going
that's a
straight
great
into
question.
school?
That's a great question. I non-biased aside, even though I I don't think anybody should go into grad school, especially advanced practice provider, graduate or doctorate, whatever school, without experience. I mean, and then most programs won't. I mean, I know there are some schools or educational systems that have like a BSN to DNP direct pathway that
Hmm.
you can. Some of them you can apply to your last semester of BSN and essentially start that following semester or whatever it is. I don't see how that's beneficial. I don't see how that's beneficial for um, the student or the patient. I mean, the school maybe, because
Hmm.
obviously it potentially will allow them to, pop more, doctorate prepared or mastered prepared nurses out, and maybe that looks good on them. But from a student standpoint, I don't see how that would be beneficial at all, because if you don't already have a pretty solid foundation of what bedside, and I say bedside nursing in a sense like all nursing. So some whatever type of actually practicing nursing is what I mean under the umbrella of bedside. I don't physically mean like in a hospital, because I guess you can go work home health or something, get the experience. Which I think if you want to be an APP,
Hmm.
um, you need to work in a hospital, like an acute care setting, at least for a year before you transition that job. That's maybe more reasonable to do school with, only because that's what that school is going to be more geared towards initially. But if you don't have that foundation, I don't see how you get through the initial year of your core classes, which is like your advanced patho, your advanced pharmacology, advanced assessment, those kind of things. Because like if you've never actually carried those out physically, or have those skills, or have honed those in to become basically just second nature muscle memory, those courses are going to eat you alive. And the other thing is I don't see how it's beneficial for a patient, because if you don't have real life experience of actually seeing a diagnosis through to the end, and interventions of treatment for particular things, I don't see how you come out at the end of grad school capable or efficient, as efficient as you should be at recognizing things that are wrong and
Hmm.
intervening to potentially fix it. So yeah, I'm a huge advocate for. I think minimum at least 2 years. I started grad school basically right at the start of my third, well, right almost at the end of my third year of actually of practice. And so then I'll graduate here next summer with a little over 5 years of bedside nursing, um, which I think is
Months
perfect
like
because
experience you have, because I know that you did immediate care for a little bit. Did you have like a full
yeah,
year of hemonc experience?
I had intermediate care for almost two, and then
Okay,
I started after,
that's what I
yeah,
thought.
full year of HEMOC. But the other thing with HEMOC is because I know and I've always wanted to do it. I had been studying for for forever, just waiting for the opportunity to get in there. So it was a little bit different. I had a pretty good knowledge base of that subspecialty before I ever actually physically was practicing in it. But yeah, and the other thing too that I would say is I don't think there's really a maximum amount of time that after, oh, if I've been practicing for 10 years I shouldn't go back to school because I'm just too old or can't do it and stuff. I don't think that's the case. I have a couple people in my class that have been practicing for a decade plus, and they're phenomenal nurses and great students. I know it does make it harder because you've probably got a bunch of different things going on in life at that point too.
Hmm.
But I do think that there is something to be said to going back sooner rather than later, though, and
Hmm.
finding that happy median for you, because a lot of it is if you've been practicing for a long time, and this is just second knowledge. I mean, and we have it too as bedside nurses. Like you develop habits and you see certain things so much that you do get skewed in your thought process and the way that you do things, right? And so you become a little bit more resistant to changing or adapting those things. And so
Hmm.
the further you get into it, and then you go back here and you're in a program that's teaching you new ways to think and new ways to do things because you're transitioning into a different role. I have seen some people have a really hard time with that because they've been doing something for so long one way that now that they're told this is actually your new way of doing it, they can't grasp it,
Ooh,
or
yeah.
sometimes they almost like subconsciously refuse to grasp it. So it does get difficult. So it's finding that happy median for you. There, you definitely need experience. Again,
Hmm.
most programs won't even accept you unless you have at least 2 years of experience. And again, the other thing too is most programs, depending on what you want to specialize in, you have to have a minimum of experience in certain settings. So, like if you're wanting to pursue like um, certified anesthesia, nurse anesthetist, so CRNA
Hmm.
school. Most programs, if not all of them, because I just know the ones off the top of my head that I know people in or I looked at, you have to have at least 2 years minimum of experience in either like a level one trauma ER or a level one trauma like ICU facility
Okay.
to even apply. So like, I couldn't even have applied to CRNA schools that I was like, just looking at to just see what those different subspecialties were as an advanced provider. Because I would have had to change my current job, worked it for 2 years, and then reapplied. So
And then when you have your clinical, like they don't set you up with a preceptor, right? Like you have to go out and kind of seek and find your own like mentor essentially.
yeah, I do because I'm an out of state student for my
Hmm.
program. Now it was going to be a little bit different before COVID hit because I was going to do a lot more of my clinical rotations up in Colorado so that
Hmm.
I didn't have to do that just because it would have been easier and it would have been a cool experience. And then to be in a facility that's used to having students was, I would just figure would have been a more well-rounded, experience in general because they would have been more, I guess, implied to allow me to do things and stuff like that because they're used to having students. Whereas down here, yeah, I've had to find my own preceptors and stuff while I'm down here and get contracts between facilities in my school that allow me to practice and cover me with liability and things of that nature. But so it's been kind of a hassle.
Hmm.
The pandemic didn't help it. But I've
Yeah,
been
no,
I've been
absolutely.
blessed with some really good preceptors and mentors from that standpoint that have allowed me to really kind of dig in. And that's the other thing too. You're going to get out what you put in. I mean, of course, they have evaluations. The school has evaluations that they send to your preceptors because that's the only way that they can see if you're actually like engaged in and learning. And I guess if you happen to find preceptors that are friends or something like that, and they're willing to just sign off on your hours just so that you can essentially get through it, I guess, then, how's that beneficial? But I've been blessed to get in touch with some people and meet some people that have agreed to precept me that allow me to kind of jump in because I'm a hands-on kind of guy. Like I'm not doing
Hmm.
this for the title, for the advancement or whatever, just to say I'm an NP because I mean I love bedside nursing and I mean, um, I mean I I've got no reason to leave it right now other than the fact of I know myself and I know that I love learning and I know that I have other abilities and knowledge and physical skills that I can bring to the advanced provider profession to help, bridge a gap that is much, much, much needed in our area of the United States. So that was part of my reason for advancing is I know I have skills and services that I can make a huge difference in our population down here and it would be a shame for me not to mold and capitalize on those to like I said to help out the kids of our area. So instead of just being content to where I am. So
Yeah, no, I mean, that's awesome. You're the perfect person for it. Like I've always known that ever since I met you in school, like I always knew that you were going to do amazing things for sure.
yeah, I appreciate that. Well, you too. I mean, it's and some people don't know it. I mean, I know we've had conversations multiple times before about like you love bedside nursing too and you don't see and I think we mentioned it in one of our episodes too, like when people are always like, oh, what's next, it's like, why can't I just stay here? Like I love bedside
Yeah.
nursing, why can't this just be my career? But I know
Mhm.
there's been conversations where we've talked where you have interest in other aspects of advancing and getting higher education or something like that too. But like you also openly and truthfully admit that like you don't 100% know like what it is or where your interests lie, and so you're not just going to
Mhm.
jump into something because like that's what people tell you to do, or that's what you should do because you've been practicing for 4 years now and stuff. So um, it's
Yeah.
it's it's all about knowing yourself. I mean, that's so what's so awesome about nursing in general is that like there's something for everyone. So right, I
Mhm.
mean, we've talked about it before. Like you have to know you're supposed to be a nurse before you pursue nursing. Like if you just think it's cool and the schedule's awesome and oh, I get to maybe I'll save some lives. Hell, maybe I'll end up on Grey's Anatomy one day. Like you're not you're
Shut
you're
up.
you're not going to
Grey's
survive.
Anatomy.
You're not going to make it, or you're going to potentially put yourself in a situation where you can greatly harm somebody, yourself.
Mhm.
Um, but if you know nursing was for you and you got into it, that's what's so great is you can do anything that you want to based off of who you are. So like one of our
Mhm.
best friends, right? That's part of our Fab Five group or whatever. Like she teaches now, like not nursing, like she
She doesn't
teaches
teach
health
nursing.
science,
Yeah.
but she got that opportunity because she was a nurse and practiced as a nurse and realized, hey, for my mental and physical health, I have to get out of bedside nursing,
Mhm.
and was just afforded this opportunity to teach this, specific subject and kind of develop a curriculum and a program that's actually going to be amazingly beneficial for a pretty, I mean, low socioeconomical population of our city that I have no doubt that she will make successful, and it could change, even if it only changes a couple lives of some of these kids, like that's a win. But I think it's going to
Mhm.
change a ton of lives going forward.
And not only is she like changing lives of these high school kids or middle school kids, I can't even remember like what level she's teaching at right now, but I know that they're changing her life for the better too. Like I've never
Yeah,
seen her happier before.
exactly. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean
Yeah.
I saw her last weekend. She showed up to my surprise party, and
Yay.
I was like, man, I haven't seen you this happy since you found out you passed a test in nursing school. You knew you failed, like.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Which well, that's a good now that's a great feeling, right? Oh, I totally
That
bombed
is a
that, and they
great
hand it
feeling.
back, and they're like, "You actually passed without giving back a whole lot of points." You're like, "Whoa, okay,
You're like,
margarita time."
okay.
Yeah,
It's always margarita time. Even if you fail, you're like, whatever, margarita time.
but um,
But
but yeah, no, I mean yeah, it's like I said, it's just about knowing yourself, knowing what you bring to the table, and not following the crowd, right? I mean,
mhm,
I know a lot of people that they just kind of followed a crowd of, oh, hey, they're becoming an NP and this is what we're supposed to do, right? We've worked bedside for so long, we're pretty good at it. We need to become an advanced provider because we can do more. And they kind of just sludge around, sludge along through school, and kind of enjoy it, but don't enjoy it, or it's more stressful than it is, supposed to be, happy or like learning. I mean, it's always going to be stressful, right? But there's a difference between it's stressful because I have to do it and stressful because like you want to be really, really good at it because you don't want to
mhm,
let somebody down. But yeah, and then they kind of come out and they either wasted maybe a couple years of their life and some, and financial um monetary, money and stuff like that, and then they're like, I don't, I don't think this is what I wanted to do. Or they get halfway through school, right, and they're like, why did I go back? Oh, I went back because such and such, told me I should, and
mhm,
we could do school together. But so I mean, yeah, my biggest advice would be like, just you know nobody knows you better than you, and
mhm.
if something's of interest to you, and like when you really just sit down and think about it, you're like, I need to do this, or this is what I'm supposed to do when it comes to that, then go for it. Now if you sit down and you're like, I just really love bedside nursing, I'm good at it, it's rewarding, um, that's perfectly fine too. There's nothing wrong with being a career bedside nurse. And again,
Mhm.
big umbrella, right? I mean, I say bedside nurse in the sense of acute care because that's where we work. But I mean, as far as just a practicing RN, whatever you're doing, like just the big umbrella. There's nothing wrong with doing that for your entire career until you want to retire. And that's the other
Mhm.
thing too, is once you get to a point where physically maybe you can't do one job, there's hundreds others that you could still do as a nurse that are more accommodating to your physical ability at that point in time in your life. So
Yes, I have worked with, we had someone come in that was a bedside nurse that was on contract. And I was like, God bless this lady. Physically, she needs to just get out of it. Like, bedside, she just needs to leave. Like, she was an incredible nurse, and I would listen to her talk to the kids. And I was like, okay, like, she's very sweet and she's very good at her job. But like, physically, I was like, all right, maybe we should like explore clinic or maybe do something else.
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
I
like,
mean, it's yeah, and I mean, sometimes like I mean, it comes with all professions. I mean, physically, there's going to be a point where you can't do certain things,
yes.
um, but at the same time, too, I mean, that's the other thing that's you can argue is good or bad about our community of nurses is like chances are there's going to be somebody that you come across that will have no problem letting you know, like, hey, it's time to
It's
it's time
time.
to step away, and hopefully they do it politely and
Yeah.
respectfully and professionally, but like, yeah, as nurses, because I mean that's the thing, right? I mean, it's not that they're not a good team player, but it's all about teamwork and being able to rely on the person next to you if something's
Right.
going crazy. And if you show up one day and you don't really have that sense of safety or that sense of comfort that, like, hey, if things go crazy, the person to my left, the person to my right has me, then you got to feel comfortable being able to speak up and voice that, whether it's to like your director, your manager, or to a person in general, because at the end of the day, what matters most is the patient. Whether or not they're your actual patient for that shift, you are still that patient advocate, and that's what matters most, is speaking up on their behalf for their safety.
Hmm.
And I think now I mentioned that, I think that's one of the biggest things. I think just the general population witnessed and got to see so much going through this pandemic was, they always heard, nurses are the most trusted profession. We can't have healthcare without nurses. But I think for the first time, you know, from a media standpoint or anything like that, because things were getting so well covered because we were in a pandemic, which I wish it wasn't because of a pandemic, but people were seeing like, oh, like maybe we should listen to nurses a little bit more, or wow, they are so extremely important when it comes to patient advocacy, because nobody else is going to do it. You know what I mean? I mean, we had these nurses in these hot spots at the beginning or right in the thick of the pandemic, right, that were constantly screaming out that they didn't have the proper protection to care for themselves. And it wasn't because they were necessarily, I mean, yeah, they were afraid for themselves a little bit, but it didn't allow them to properly go in and take care of that patient. Because I mean, you weren't going to meet a nurse in the middle of that pandemic, and we heard stories about it, right? That of nurses, getting sick and unfortunately passing away because they ran into
Hmm.
a room without proper, protective equipment because that patient was dying, which is sad in its own right, because you should never have to run into a room without a proper way to protect yourself, but still also provide care. But I mean, like, that's just what it is. I mean, that's what this profession, the majority of everybody in the profession, like, my it's not my job. I mean, yes, it is my job, but it's not a job to me to save your life. This is what I want to do, and I want to
Right.
make a difference. And I think people finally, like, we're like, oh wow, like maybe we should respect these people a little bit more. And then, as we touched on in one of our other episodes, pretty much a year after that, it was like, oh wait, never mind, we're just going to throw them to the wind. So
No, it's pretty awful.
yeah,
Oh.
but no, I mean, it's yeah, like, I mean, still really interesting times in the world, and the world of healthcare, and moving forward, and closing in on basically the last month of 2021, which is hard to believe that we're closing out a full 2 years since really all of this super craziness. I mean, healthcare has always been crazy, but this like super craziness had started. And I don't know. I don't know if we're in a better place than we were, or a worse place. I really can't tell. But
Yeah, I know. I really
um,
can't tell right now either. It's pretty rough. And then now, especially because we really didn't get like a true pediatric respiratory winter, last
yeah.
year. So RSV hit in a very like in June of this year, like June,
Hmm.
July. It was very odd, and we had so many kids coming in with RSV, and we're still kind of seeing them here or there. But I'm interested to see. It's now mid-November, mid to late November. I'm interested to see when it's really going to hit. I feel like I remember when I was doing intermediate care, we were always super busy, like late December through like late February with like RSV and rhino and all that. But I'm interested to see how it's going to pan out now that people are like, all right, it's been a year, we're all vaccinated, we're going out to dinner, we're going to go to the park, things are opening up again for the holidays,
Hmm.
the mall is open. So I'm interested to see how people are going to react to all this, and what this pediatric winter is going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's going to be interesting because, yeah, it's things that we could almost guarantee were going to happen at certain points in time of the year because that's how it always happened. Like
Hmm.
that hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case for 2 years.
It's so unpredictable now. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we've always had it a little bit different down here just because we don't get like a true winter until later in the winter months. And even then it's not really a true winter, but that's when the temperature actually changes and we do see more of that respiratory stuff.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, from my standpoint, we have seen an uptick in which is unfortunate, in like new diagnosis, and things like that. And it's not, there's no correlation between all the same stuff that we see, right? People getting out and everything, um, but it kind of is because for so long people were afraid to go seek help. They didn't want to leave their houses. They especially didn't want to go to the hospital, right? Because
Mhm.
that's where COVID was. And so now I'm wondering if it's almost more like, okay, well, now we're getting back to kind of a more normalcy in the sense of now that they recognize something is not right with their child or it doesn't seem right, like they're seeking that care sooner than they would, or exploring, these certain avenues of it and stuff. And yeah, we've seen some things pick up from that standpoint. Um, and a lot of it is because for us in our world or whatever, it's early detection. Something just is not right, and of course not, I don't want to say gets swept under, but there's a lot of things that can present in certain ways that some of these cancers present initially, to where when, especially in a healthy kid, like you're going to check off those differentials before you ever throw out the big C word. And a lot of times, we're talking a couple weeks to sometimes a month before finally somebody's like, well, maybe it's the C word. But
Mhm.
I think we're seeing up too a lot of times as families are being a little bit more pushy and aggressive when it comes to making sure like they check everything, even if it could be, something, that's further down the differential list, or like I said, cancer is the last thing you want to think of. But hey, you're right. I mean, this presentation could be it. And so we're seeing it. So it's just a weird time, and it's like, are we gonna have RSV season like in the spring? Because
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
was the summer. This last year we had a summer spike where we had almost 2 months of like, what the hell? Like, this is supposed to
Yeah.
be December. It's June and July. Well, maybe this year it's going to move back a couple months and we're going to get hit in March through May or something. And then maybe, next year we're finally back in like a normal winter presentation. But I don't know.
It's
It's
interesting.
interesting. It's interesting being in the world of pediatric healthcare too, in general, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just not the same as adult. Like, you don't see the same things, and you have these periods where like you're not busy. I mean, you can look at an
Mhm.
adult side of the hospital or adult side of healthcare, and like it's pretty consistently busy. Adults, get sick or require tertiary care pretty steadily throughout the year. Kids, for the most part, are
Mhm.
healthy and they go with the seasons. I mean, in the summertime, I mean, hell, you're hard to find a unit in the pediatric hospital in the summer that is like full to capacity because
Oh, I know.
it's usually great weather. Kids are outside more, being active, doing things, traveling. I mean, you just don't see it. And then school starts and you're like, oh, you're
There
passing
we go.
boogers again.
Passing boogers around. No, I miss those days when it would be so busy in the winter months, and like you'd be picking up extra shifts, and you'd be like, all right, we'd be exhausted. And then it was over the summer was when we'd be like, all right, you're on call. All right, you're canceled. And we would just kind of be
Mm-hmm.
like looking at our phone, being like, are they going to cancel me? They're going to put me on call. I
Yeah.
don't even know what that's like anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
Or you get floated to the NICU because they're busting at the seams, right? Because
yes.
the summertime
Yeah.
falls 9 months after the winter when most people are cuddled up inside under warm blankets, and we all know what happens. We all know what happens then. So
Yep. Shout out to all our
then you get a
NICU
baby
nurses
boom,
over the
which is,
summer.
yeah. Well, and hell, like, I mean, this summer even more so because
Hmm.
people were trapped inside during the pandemic. So
Oh, yeah.
saw a lot of babies being born the last few months.
I think our
Yeah,
NICU was short like 13 nurses,
it's crazy. It's
like just
crazy.
something crazy. So many people were being floated over
It was
there. Just
crazy. I
unreal.
mean,
Yeah.
like it's a large NICU, and we're talking like capacity of babies. Like
Hmm.
That's a lot of babies all, every single day for, 4 to 5 consecutive months. But
Yeah.
um, it's gonna that's the other thing is like next year, are we gonna see the new like top baby name list? Number one gonna be like Vid or Cove, like those, or
Oh my
COVID,
God.
Co-V,
Stop.
you never know. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. You see these baby trend names based off of like popular world trends.
Popular world trends and then popular TV shows as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got like
Yeah.
some arias and especially when Game of Thrones was in their prime, got
Oh, well,
several
right now,
several Game of
Dutton
Thrones
is a super
characters.
popular boy name because of the amazing, great show Yellowstone. So
I have actually never seen that show. My
you're
parents
missing
love
out.
that show.
You're
Yeah, that's what
missing
I've
out. It
heard.
is incredible.
I'll have to
Lot
check
of
that out.
lot of cowboying and ass kicking. That's all it is, man. So
Doesn't
it's
get more
great.
Southern Texan than that, baby.
No, and I mean, have you ever seen anything bad with Kevin Costner? Let's get real.
No, I've really never seen anything bad with him for
No,
sure.
guy just produces high quality entertainment. That's all it is.
Hmm.
But no, so I don't know. But the other thing that's interesting is you mentioned like before we started recording and stuff like that. That obviously you were like, well, we're just going to go ahead and um, call this episode "Staying Afloat" and everything. And I know in the last episode that we were able to post, we just kind of kept it real and talked about the current climate. But it was interesting to hear you say, before obviously the vacation helped, but like you were just saying that you don't you feel like it's almost kind of, I don't know, gotten worse than the
Hmm.
last time that we posted an episode or kind of really talked on it, or that it kind of has stayed stagnant, like it hasn't really changed. And I feel the same
Yeah.
way. So I mean, I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts on that?
I'm just, and I was really I like when my vacation, when it was time for my vacation, I wasn't even excited for it. And I should never have felt like that. Like I should have been really excited about this vacation. I should have been able to plan and do all this, but I just felt so rushed. I didn't feel excited. I was so stressed out. And when it finally came time to leave, because I literally worked three in a row, I didn't sleep. And then I think my flight was at like 12:30 in the afternoon. So I had worked that previous evening, came home packed, and then like went to the airport. So I feel like I wasn't even excited for it. And I just felt so drained. And then it wasn't until I finally, like, we got to Disney Springs and we like went to like a little wine bar and kind of like, I finally realized, like, oh my God, like this is my vacation. Like I don't have
Yeah.
to worry about anything. And so I can imagine what people are going through that aren't taking time for themselves because it mentally, I think I just felt very, very drained. And
Hmm.
it's been pretty bad. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
and I
pretty
mean, I
bad.
feel like too more. We're rolling into the holiday season, so it's always a little bit different when it comes to how like schedules work and stuff, right? Because it's a 24/7, 365 job. Like somebody always has to be there.
Hmm.
But it's almost like I feel like this year, even more so than last year, and I guess it's because people weren't opening back up to starting to go back to traveling or getting to do stuff, right? So it wasn't big. But it's almost like this year, I feel like I've heard so many more people express or share with me that like the pushback that they're getting for time off or taking time for themselves or basically just trying to reset and recharge.
Hmm.
And I mean, some of these things, some of these requests, I wouldn't even say that they're even borderline like ridiculous. Just like, hey, just some consecutive time off um, has been
Or
like
any
non-existent, and it's
or
almost
any
and
time off would be
yeah,
great because apparently
anytime.
during like with the holidays coming up, it's we're so short staffed. Like we're not really technically supposed to be taking any PTO or UTO and things like that at this time. And it's
Well, and
awful
it's
because it's the holidays, because it's you
yeah,
have your assigned holiday. You're already working the holidays.
hmm
You already have your assigned holiday, and so you're like, well, shoot, well, I want to have the other time for myself. So it is a little draining, but try to find the time for yourself. Like try to at
yeah,
least like do, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then schedule yourself like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like the following week. So at least you can have some sort of time to yourself to
yeah,
reset.
absolutely. You need it, and I mean, I've had some people express too that they've experienced like essentially they've been made to feel guilty for
Hmm.
asking for time off or not working extra. Like,
Right. Yes. Yes. And
I'm
so
sorry. I mean,
that was another thing too, was, a friend of mine was telling me, like, why aren't you picking up extra? That's overtime. That's good money right there. And I'm like, my mental health is way more important than
Yeah.
picking up extra. Not also for the patient. It's for the patient's benefit, because why would I be picking up extra when I don't feel 100% at my best? And like, I don't want to miss something. I'm taking care of
Yeah.
extremely sick kids. So I want to go and work when I'm feeling completely ready and able to give it 100%, because it's not fair to the patients if I and my colleagues, when they need help and I'm not feeling willing and able to help them, that's not fair to them, you
Yeah,
know?
no, and I think that's 100% accurate statement to express, and I think a lot of people need to hear it because I think a lot of people struggle with the fact, and I do it too. I mean, I like I said, I feel guilty when like I sit there and I'm like, man, I could pick up. Like I'm
Hmm.
not super busy with school, I could pick up and it help, and but at the same time, it's like, but if I do pick up, I might get through that shift and be great. But I've got other things on the other end of it that I gotta take care of. It's people need to understand like it's not your responsibility to put yourself in a situation that's not healthy for you to basically I guess save these facilities or these
Yes,
stuff like
yeah.
it's not and I'm not gonna say poor management because a lot of times that's not the case, right? Right now we're just seeing so many people leave and go take these ridiculous travel contracts, and rightfully so. Go do it. Like if you can
Hmm.
do it, go. I mean, go make your bank. But like it's not your responsibility as an already full time employee to give more that you don't have because you've
Hmm.
been made to feel guilty that you're not doing it.
Right.
Like the only way that they're going to start taking care of us better is if we stand up and let them know that that's our expectation and you need to start meeting it.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So
No,
yeah,
that's
so I
that's
mean,
very
yeah,
well said.
no.
Don't feel guilty, you guys. Take the time for yourself. If you want to pick up extra and you're like, hey, holidays are coming up, I am going to pick up this extra shift, like do it strategically. Do
Hmm.
like Monday or Sunday, Monday, and then like schedule yourself for that Friday and then pick up that Saturday. That way you
Yeah,
have 3 days off in between. Just give yourself some time. Just make
yeah.
sure that if you're going in for that extra shift, that you're going to give it 100%, because the patients
Hmm.
deserve that.
Yeah, and go and those times in between too, like do something that's going to recharge you. So I
Hmm.
know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I just want to sleep and just lay on the couch." And that's fine if that's what you want to do. Me, that doesn't recharge me.
Mm-mm.
I do need that sometimes like where there's just going to be a day where I'm like as soon as this semester's over for me,
Hmm.
that next day that I get to wake up and not have to log onto my computer or open my book or go to work, I probably get off the couch because I've got a lot of shows that I like to watch that I haven't got to watch. So I probably will
Hmm.
have one of those days, but it's not going to recharge me. That's not going to fill my basket. That's just a me like, okay, there's my battery on empty and I can't find my charging cable. Oh, but I mean, so I have to work out. I have to get out and
Hmm.
see people, see my family, maybe go play golf if the weather's nice, something like that. So like that, I always advocate to people like, hey, if sleeping and laying around is what recharges you, great. But some of the best thing you can do is get out and recharge those batteries. Get
Hmm.
out, see your friends, do something fun, but at the same time, know that there is a level of, you go too much, you didn't recharge. You just kind of you recharged and then you deplenished again, and it's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, don't ever feel sorry or made to feel guilty that you're not helping more because if you're working 2 to 3 days a week and that's your contract, your employee contract, or hell, even 4 days a week if that's your employee contract, and you're busting your butt every day you get there, that's more than enough. Like,
Hmm.
not just because that's all you're required to do, but I know from experience that you are putting in well over 100% of yourself into those hours, to where like you should never be made felt guilty that you're not doing more. Like that's not your responsibility to find that more
Hmm.
unless that you really absolutely want it and can do it safely.
Yeah, no, exactly. That was very well said. It's
Yeah,
just all
yeah.
about
So
patient safety, all about like self care, taking care of yourself. After you do your like extra shift or whatever, go get a massage, go do something for yourself, go
hmm
recharge. I'm a big foodie. I really like to go try out new restaurants. And so that's something that I'm doing this week. I'm going to try out a few new restaurants. I'm really excited about it. And then I'll feel ready and recharged to like go back to work and having my sad meal prep. So, but it's fine.
Oh man.
I look forward to it because then when I get that time for myself, I look
Hmm.
forward to being like, okay, like I'm excited to, sleep in, go to the gym, see my friends, go to work with my best friends. I feel recharged and ready. And then when my shifts are done, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm ready for my time off again.
Yeah.
So take the time for
No,
yourself, you
yeah.
guys. We missed
Absolutely.
y'all a lot. I'm really sorry that we missed the past couple of weeks, but we really appreciate you guys hanging in there. But give us some topics, anything that you want us to touch on that we haven't touched on yet. I know that some of y'all were saying maybe like more PD specific topics, but be a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
If you're a new nurse in the pediatric field, let us know anything that you want us to touch base on because pediatrics is very specialized and very different. So let us know. Slide in the DMs as always. We're always ready. We love it. And
Yep.
send us any questions that you'll have or anything that you wanted to add or touch base on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's great. Yeah, just send us what you want us to talk about. I mean, again, we just wanted to get back on here and just get out and just kind of you know show that we haven't gone away, that we're still
We
here, and
haven't
if
got
you
away.
enjoy
It's fun
listen,
for us.
yeah,
We
it's
love
fun for
this.
us, and if you
We
enjoy
really
listening
love
to us,
this.
that's why we keep doing it. I think uh, right now our plan is, I think, just because we want to have some fun rolling out the end of the year. We still tentatively have an idea of basically recording our like an episode of our podcast before the end of the year, while like me and Tori sit down and like watch one of the most like ridiculous episodes of any of these like medical shows on TV. So send us, that'd be great. Send us a DM or a message about like
Yes.
a specific show, and particularly an actual episode where like you were watching and you're like, that is ridiculous. That's not how it is. Or like you like maybe you thought was just like unbelievably awesome, especially like the non-nurses or healthcare professionals that
Mm-hmm.
maybe listen to this, where you're like, oh, like this episode is so great. We'll watch it while we're doing a podcast or like clips of it or something like that. And we'll give you like real time, like, yeah, I hate to
Feedback.
break it to you. I hate to break it to you, but like, that
Nope.
yonker doesn't go in the nose and deliver oxygen, like,
Nope.
I mean, it
There's
looks
lots going to
cool. It
be.
looks
It
great
looks
for
cool.
TV, but yeah. Or like the notorious, what is it, the meme, especially for like Grey's Anatomy. Like, I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to get 5 surgeons at the bedside that are going to ambulate your patient to the bedside commode.
No.
Not going to happen.
It's
Just
absolutely ridiculous.
not going
Have
to
you
happen.
seen
But
what is it? There's a movie on Netflix called I Care a Lot. Insane
oh, I
movie.
haven't seen that.
Absolutely insane. It's really it's I won't even explain it. You guys have to go watch it. But at the very end, they show someone hooked up on a he's like he's a little person and they have like a neo circuit hooked up to the ventilator.
Yeah,
And I'm
nice,
like, why are you gonna do my man like that?
nice.
It's so
I love it.
sad.
I love it. Well, it's the same thing. It's like you see like all the time, like these pictures or the memes that go around, and like it's a picture of just a random person like laying in bed, like, oh, I'm calling in sick, got admitted to the hospital, right? And he's got like his ear pods like shoved in his nose and stuff like that, and
Just like
you
this.
know, trying to send a picture to
Yes.
his boss or whatever. And it always cracks me up because I'm like, yeah, that's how some of these shows are. But yeah, send us shows, send us episodes specifically within the show, because obviously we don't have time to just sit down and watch multiple seasons and stuff. Or send us specific clips that you've seen. We want to do an episode where we kind of um, watch that. And at the time, like while we're doing it, maybe we'll go live like on our Instagram too as we're
Yeah.
recording, but we'll be on Instagram so you can kind of tune in and catch that live. And then obviously we'll put out the
We can
episode.
hear our
But
feedback. That'd
um,
be
we just
hilarious.
want to, yeah, we wanted to launch this, and we did, back in August, September. And we wanted it to be, like I said, a fun place, a safe place. But also just a place where people can come and just kind of just, know that there's people out there going through the same thing, and build a community. But we're rolling through, towards the end of 2021. Like I said, just trying to get a full head of steam into 2022 for Alert and Oriented RN. And we want to have some fun going into the holidays. So we'll talk about some holiday specific stuff that we've got going on in our life, and maybe share some stories. But yeah, definitely going to sit down, watch some of these ridiculous. And I'll admit, I mean, I enjoy some of them too. As a healthcare professional, I
Oh, they're
know they're not right, but I
hilarious.
mean, I enjoy them. They're entertaining. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be. But figured that would be a lot of fun, especially once I finish up the semester and we can actually have more time to just kind of sit down and actually be like, hey, let's just watch a couple episodes and record a podcast. So, but anyway,
Yes, Luke. Good luck. Also, with the rest of your semester that you have, because when is it officially supposed to be? When is the semester over?
December 17th. Yeah. So the way
Okay,
that it always
exactly
works is
1
like
month. Exactly
the
1
way
month
it
from
always
now.
works is our final always opens up on Monday, and you have basically until Friday at midnight to get it turned in, whether it's an actual test or sometimes it's a paper or like a case study, like a very engaging and like intricate case study and stuff like that. It just kind of depends. This class, I believe it's an exam. So yeah, try to get that done early. So maybe I'm done a few extra days, but obviously got to work it around the work schedule. But and then get to enjoy the Christmas holiday. Get to enjoy my 6th wedding anniversary. So
Yeah,
I love this time of year. This time of year is my recharge time to get to see family, get to celebrate an anniversary, and then roll into a new year with a lot of energy. So, but in the meantime, guys, we love you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry that we were gone for so long. We did not leave. We are here. And share with us what you like, what you don't like, what you want us to talk about. And I'm sorry we're not sitting together, Tori, that we had to do it this way.
I miss you.
But we will be together on the next episode. I promise.
All right, everyone, slide in. Send us an email, alertandorientedrn@gmail, and that's AND, alert AND orientedrn@gmail.com. Okay. Yep. Let us know what y'all want us to touch on. Give us an episode that y'all want us, like maybe The Resident, I think would be hilarious. Yeah. And we can just totally give some live feedback. Hell, we may even have a beer or something while we're watching it. So
absolutely. So
you guys can join us too.
Yep. Absolutely, guys. Well, we love you and have a good one. Peace.
All right, peace.
Follow us on Instagram at alertandorientedrn and email us at alertandorientedrn@gmail.com. That's alert, AND, orientedrn@gmail.com. See you next episode.